Judge Yoder presiding. You may be seated.
Case of the State of Ohio versus Skylar Richardson, case number 2017 CR 33292. We are on the record outside the presence of the jury. Mr. Knippen, anything preliminary to come to my attention before we get started?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Ritkers, anything preliminary to come to my attention before we get started?
No, Judge.
All right, we did have a brief discussion concerning Mr. Knippen, three of the state's witnesses that have requested, at least so far, not to be filmed. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, Your Honor, they are Trey Johnson, Ashley Sparkman, and Allison Campbell have requested not to be filmed when they're testifying.
All right. Ohio Rule Superintendent's 12C provides that the filming, recording, or videotaping of witnesses who object shall not be permitted. I find that this request is reasonable under the circumstances, so I'm going to order that these witnesses not be filmed from their face. I will permit photos of their feet or their lower body as they come in the courtroom. I think this is a reasonable accommodation under the circumstances. Prospectively, this order will not apply to the defendant. So if Ms. Richardson elects to testify in this case and indicates that she does not want to be filmed, I'm going to have a separate hearing outside the presence of the jury to determine that issue. Anything else before we get started?
No, Your Honor.
Are we ready for our jury?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Mullins, go get our jury. You may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Was everybody able to follow my instructions and admonitions last night and into this morning?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we are now going to hear the opening statements of the attorneys. The opening statements are not evidence. They are designed to assist you with the evidence. We have agreed in advance that each side will have 45 minutes for their opening. Mr. Knippen, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm literally speechless with how happy I am. My belly is back, OMG, and I'm never, ever, ever, ever letting it get like this again. You're about to see me looking freaking better than before, OMG. Those are the words that Brooke Richardson texted to her mother just hours after she murdered her infant daughter in the middle of the night and buried her lifeless body in the dirt behind their home. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today because the defendant, Brooke Richardson, murdered a baby that she didn't want and never intended to keep. Upon finding out that she was pregnant by a boy that she wanted nothing to do with, Brooke Richardson burst into tears that she cannot have this reaction. Her doctor told her that if she had any thoughts of harming herself or the child, she needed to let him know that right away. But Brooke never followed up with her doctor. In fact, she never scheduled any of the follow-up appointments that her doctor requested, and she didn't return any of the calls from the Hilltop staff or even the doctor himself when they tried to get her back in for another appointment. She never told anyone that she was pregnant, and she never followed up with any type of prenatal care. But what we know that she did do, by her own admission, is that she researched ways on the internet of, quote, how to get rid of a baby. And then in the early morning hours of May 7th, 2017, Brooke Richardson gave birth at her family home, and she told no one. She didn't call 911, she didn't go to the hospital, and she didn't even wake up her mom and dad, who were just downstairs asleep in their room. Instead, shortly after birth, Brooke killed her infant daughter so that no one would ever know that she was pregnant or that she had a child. After murdering her daughter, she disposed of any evidence of her daughter's existence and buried her daughter's body in the ground behind their home. Just hours after discarding that baby's lifeless body in the dirt, she texted her mother, "I'm literally speechless with how happy I am." Shortly after that text message, she followed it up with another text message to her mother. "I am literally so excited now just for dinner to wear something cute. Yay. My belly is back. Now I am taking this opportunity to make it amazing." And while Brooke was taking this opportunity, as she described it, to make her body look amazing, her daughter's body was decomposing in the ground behind their home. Ladies and gentlemen, Brooke Richardson grew up in a small, tight-knit community of Carlisle at 104 Eagle Ridge Drive, where she lived with her mother and father, Kim and Scott Richardson, and her brother Jackson. Brooke was a popular senior at Carlisle High School, and she had plans to attend the University of Cincinnati in the fall of 2017. To outside observers, Brooke Richardson had the perfect life. But back in August of 2016, Brooke was briefly involved with a boy by the name of Trey Johnson, who was from West Carrollton. During the month of August of 2016, Brooke and Trey had sex on 2 different occasions. One of those times, they did not use any protection. Towards the end of August 2016, Brooke broke it off with Trey and told him that she wanted to focus on her cheerleading. And she then blocked him on all of the social media accounts and never talked to Trey again. In January of 2017, Brooke started dating a boy by the name of Brandon Saylor, who also went to Carlisle High School and who was a year younger than Brooke. Before long, they were texting about how much they loved each other and how they were going to spend the rest of their lives together. In April of 2017, Brooke had her mother make an appointment for her with Hilltop OBGYN for the purpose of obtaining birth control pills. But for Brooke, this appointment was a little bit more than just obtaining birth control pills. The evidence will show that at the time Brooke had her mother schedule this appointment, she already suspected that she was pregnant, and she was looking for verification. And on April 26, 2017, nearly 8 months after she broke it off with Trey Johnson, Brooke's worst fears were confirmed when Dr. Andrews told her that she was in fact pregnant. Dr. Andrew estimated that Brooke was already in her 3rd trimester and told her that she would be delivering a baby within a matter of weeks. During this appointment, Dr. Andrew conducted an abdominal ultrasound and listened to the baby's heartbeat with Brooke and determined that the fetal heart rate was strong and healthy. When Dr. Andrew spoke with Brooke about her pregnancy, she kept repeating that she cannot have this baby, and she was adamant that she could tell no one that she was pregnant. Because of Brooke's reaction, the doctor gave her what are called suicide warnings, telling her that if she had any thoughts of harming herself or the baby, that he needed to know that. Dr. Andrew requested that Brooke schedule an ultrasound the very next day and that she schedule a follow-up appointment within a week so that she could get started on prenatal care. Brooke left that afternoon from the doctor's office with specific instructions to schedule a follow-up appointment. Brooke, however, never scheduled that follow-up appointment. When Brooke failed to schedule the follow-up appointment, staff from Hilltop OBGYN began trying to reach out to her to get her back in. Dr. Andrew himself called her, trying to get her back in. But Brooke didn't return any of those calls. Not only did Brooke not speak with anyone from Hilltop, she never told anyone that she was pregnant, including the baby's father, Trey Johnson. A few days after her appointment, Hilltop accidentally sent an email to Brooke's mother, Kim Richardson, which contained information that Brooke was pregnant. During the course of this trial, you will see evidence regarding the dysfunctional relationship between Brooke and her mother, Kim Richardson. You will see evidence that Kim was obsessed with Brooke's appearance and that she constantly monitored Brooke's weight. So when Kim questioned Brooke about being pregnant, Brooke lied and said this was all just a big mistake. But Brooke did get a preview of exactly how her mother would feel about if she was pregnant. In a text message exchange, which you will see, Kim told Brooke that her life would be over and that she would have no future if she were in fact pregnant. But right then and there, ladies and gentlemen, just a few days after her appointment with Hilltop, when she found out she was pregnant, she had the perfect opportunity to come clean to her mother and tell her that she was pregnant. She was specifically questioned by her mother about that. And did Brooke finally come clean at that point and tell her what happened? No. She continued to lie and conceal this pregnancy because no one was ever going to find out about the truth of her pregnancy. The evidence will show that in the days and weeks following her appointment, Brooke made no plans to care for her child. She didn't follow up with Hilltop. She didn't start prenatal care. She didn't look at baby clothes, cribs, diapers, bottles. And she didn't research how to give her child up for adoption. She did nothing. In fact, the only real planning by Brooke during that time period was to conduct internet searches of, quote, how to get rid of a baby. On Friday, May 5th, 2017, about a week after finding out that she was pregnant, Brooke went to prom with her boyfriend, Brandon. That evening at prom, though, Brooke started having what she described as super bad cramping. When Brandon questioned her about how she was feeling, Brooke led Brandon to believe that she was just starting her period. She was determined to keep her secret. The next day, Saturday, May the 6th of 2017, Brooke continued having really bad cramps. She even texted Brandon that the cramps were so bad that she was laying on the couch with a heating pad. Brooke, however, still refused to ask for help or tell anyone that she was pregnant. Later that afternoon on Saturday, she went to a Reds game with Brandon for his birthday. She was determined not to let anyone know what was really going on. When she got home that evening, she went to her room. And then, in the middle of the night, while her mom, dad, and brother were asleep, Brooke gave birth to her daughter. Upon going into labor, she didn't call 911. She didn't try to go to the hospital. She didn't run downstairs to her mother and father. She didn't wake up her brother, who was just across the hall. She was still, even when confronted with the birthing process itself, determined to keep her secret. Under the cover of darkness, she delivered the baby all by herself without making a noise, without alerting anyone. And finally, when the moment of truth was upon her, she took her newborn's life and disposed of that body in the yard behind their home. She then cleaned up the entire bloody mess and destroyed any evidence of her daughter's existence before climbing into bed and going to sleep. Later that morning, Brandon had sent her a text message asking how she was feeling. Brooke responded with, "I'll tell you about it later, but last night was like the worst ever, and I didn't go to sleep until 5:30. But I feel so much better this morning. I'm happy." The perfect crime, ladies and gentlemen, the perfect crime. And what did Brooke do just hours after killing her infant daughter and burying her in the backyard? She went to the gym. That afternoon, Brooke went to the gym and started working out to continue concealing any evidence that she was ever pregnant or that she had a child. This photo at the gym was taken hours after she had given birth to a full-term child without any medical assistance. Brooke's determination to erase any evidence of her child was inconceivable. Not only did she go to the gym, she immediately started photographing her weight loss. And for the next few days and weeks, Brooke resumed living her perfect life, spending time with Brandon and looking forward to attending college in the fall. Everything was perfect again. But on July 12th, 2017, Brooke had to go back to Hilltop OBGYN to have her birth control prescription refilled. This time, however, Brooke saw a different doctor. She saw Dr. Boyce. When Dr. Boyce asked Brooke what she was there for, Brooke told her that she needed a refill of her birth control. What Brooke didn't know, however, was that Dr. Andrew and other staff had talked with Dr. Boyce before this appointment and informed her about the previous appointment where she was told that she was pregnant. So when Brooke told Dr. Boyce that she needed a refill on her birth control, Dr. Boyce confronted her about being pregnant at the last visit. At that point, Brooke broke down and stated that she had the baby and buried it in the backyard. Brooke told Dr. Boyce that she didn't tell anyone about what happened and that she still didn't want her mother to know. Dr. Boyce told Brooke that she wanted to examine her to make sure that she didn't have any health complications or injuries from delivering the baby by herself. But Brooke refused the examination. 2 days later, on July 14th, 2017, Dr. Boyce called the Carlisle Police Department and informed them about what Brooke had disclosed. Carlisle turned the investigation over to the Warren County Sheriff's Office. On that same day, July 14th, 2017, Lieutenant John Fain with the Warren County Sheriff's Office and Officer Katie Gee from the Carlisle Police Department interviewed Brooke at the Carlisle Police Department. The interview was audio and video recorded. During that interview, Brooke stated that she had the baby in the middle of the night, didn't think that the baby was alive, and then buried her in the backyard without telling anyone. Due to the suspicious circumstances of the burial and the fact that she never told anyone that she was pregnant or had given birth or had buried the baby, Lieutenant Fain asked her if she ever researched ways of how to give herself a self-abortion. In response, Brooke admitted that she conducted internet searches on how to get rid of a baby. After the interview was conducted, members of the Warren County Crime Scene Unit, as well as the Warren County Coroner, Dr. Updegrove, were at Brooke's home excavating the skeletal remains of her infant daughter from the tree line along the back of their property. The remains were collected and taken to the Montgomery County Coroner's Office for examination. As the skeletal remains were examined over the next several days, a forensic anthropologist observed that some of the bones appeared darker than others and suspected that they might have been burned. Subsequently, the Warren County Sheriff's Office conducted a second search of Brooke's home. During that second search, a few additional bones were recovered from the burial site. In addition to searching the property again, Lieutenant Fain conducted another interview with Brooke Richardson, this time with the assistance of Detective Carter from the Warren County Sheriff's Office. During this interview, Brooke admitted the following: that her daughter was alive for approximately 5 minutes. She saw her daughter's arms moving a little, heard her gurgle, and heard her cry. She squeezed the baby too hard and thinks she may have killed her, and that she attempted to burn the baby after her death in an effort to cremate her. After Brooke's secret was exposed, she sent a text message to her boyfriend Brandon stating, "I love you. I'm so sorry that I never told you. Please understand that I was scared and worried and so scared of losing you." During the course of the investigation, the skeletal remains were sent to Dr. Krista Latham, a forensic anthropologist with the University of Indianapolis. And she will testify that the skeletal remains are consistent with a 37 to 40 week full-term baby. She also examined the bones, and when she examined the bones, she did not see any evidence of burning on the bones themselves. But she will also tell you that that doesn't mean that the child wasn't burned. Common sense will tell you that you can burn skin or tissue without it going all the way down to the bones. So this narrative, where they keep saying that the evidence proves conclusively that this child was never burned, is false. In addition to Dr. Latham, you will also hear from Dr. Susan Allen, who is a coroner with the Montgomery County Coroner's Office. Dr. Allen reviewed the skeletal remains, the transcripts and interviews of Brooke Richardson, and other information related to the case, and she concluded that the newborn baby's cause of death was homicidal violence of undetermined etiology, meaning that she cannot tell you exactly how this child died, but she can tell you that it was the result of homicidal violence. And there was only one person in this world that ever knew that child existed: Brooke Richardson. As a result of the defendant's actions, Brooke has been charged with multiple offenses: aggravated murder, involuntary manslaughter, endangering children, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. Ladies and gentlemen, as I told you at the beginning of this opening statement, Brooke Richardson killed a baby that she didn't want and never intended to keep. She didn't plan for her pregnancy, and she didn't prepare for her daughter's birth. Her actions and her statements demonstrate that she had no intention of having this baby. Rather, the decision on the life of Brooke's daughter was made before that child was even born. She was never going to see the light of day, no matter what. And when the time came, in the middle of the night, and she could conceal her daughter no longer, she took her newborn's life, buried it in the backyard, and destroyed any evidence of the existence of her daughter. And just hours after putting her daughter in the ground, she documented her feelings about exactly what was going through her head at that time. I'm literally speechless with how happy I am.
Council approach, please.